Undercover, the rules are different.
Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here, so it's time for another video game review today. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing what is one of my favourite video games of all time. In my opinion, one of the best games ever made. And again, that definitely holds up phenomenally. And this video game I'm going to be reviewing today is, of course, none other than 2012's Sleeping Dogs. So, now, how was this game made then? So, this game was developed by United Front Games and published by Square Enix. Originally, it was going to be a game as part of a series called True Crime, announced in 2009 as part of that franchise, but that was cancelled by Activision Blizzard in 2011 due to project delays and budget issues. And then 6 months later, Square Enix purchased the publishing rights and renamed this game to Sleeping Dogs, without a True Crime license, but was considered to be a spiritual successor. And when making the game, the staff visited the city of Hong Kong to conduct field research for visual environments and sound. And Square Enix London Studios also worked with United Front for the development. And when this video game was then released, the game received positive reviews from critics for its combat, voice acting, protagonist, experience system and depiction of a city, but its camera and some animations were criticised. Despite this, however, the game sold over 1.5 million units in September 2012, and it was initially, of course, released on PS3 and Xbox 360 in August 14, 2012, alongside as well a Windows release as well. Then, however, in 2014, the game then got a remaster for Windows, PS4 and Xbox One, and this included new things such as, of course, enhanced graphics and also as well improved gameplay and audiovisual quality, and also all of the downloadable content from before was added to it. We as well got a Mac OS version of the game released on March 31st, 2016 by Feral Interactive as well. So, when it comes, of course, to my reaction to this game then, so I first played this game on Xbox 360 back when it came out in 2012, and I gotta say that in my opinion, it's one of the best games of all time. And it's also one of those games which I've actually played and finished 3 times, because after playing Xbox 360, I then got it on my Xbox One and I finished it on that. And it was definitely, in my opinion, an amazing remaster with Definitive Edition. And then I got it on PS4, and recently as well, last year, I platinumed it. Definitely, in my opinion, worth every second. So, now, what is the video game about then? So, set in contemporary Hong Kong, the story follows martial artist and undercover police officer Wei Shen, who infiltrates the Sun On Yee Triad organization. And the gameplay focuses on Wei Shen's martial arts moves, fighting, shooting, and parkour abilities, and on gadgets that can be used for combat and exploration. Players must complete missions to unlock content and continue the story, but they may also freely run the game's open world environment and engage in both legal and criminal activities. And this can, of course, cause a police response, and the intensity of which is controlled by the heat system in the game. And actions such as fighting, driving, and racing can also grant Wei Shen and rewards and earn the player achievements, or in this case, when it comes to PlayStation, trophies. So, now what do I think is great about this game then? So, one thing about this game that I absolutely do love is probably the game's voice cast. In my opinion, it's got a really great voice cast of actors, many of which, of course, are well-known celebrities, which is pretty awesome. So, the main character of the game, of course, is Wei Shen, and he's easily my favourite role of all time from William Lee. In my opinion, he's a really underrated actor, and I definitely really loved his performance in this game as Wei Shen. In my opinion, the best performance of his career, because he absolutely nailed it in this game, giving an amazing performance as Wei. I also as well loved Edison Chen as Wei's best friend Jackie as well. I thought he was great as Jackie. And I also as well loved Kelly Hu in this as Officer Teng, because my favourite role of Kelly Hu. And I also as well loved Robin Shu in this as the characters called Conroy and also Roland Ho. And also as well, many others too as well, such as for example, put Zima as the game's main villain and Big Smile Lee, and also as well in the role of Old Salty Crab as well. And also as well Byron Mann as Raymond as well, and also Ron Yuan as the game's secondary villain being Ponytail. And he also appears in the game as Mr. Tong and also Dog Eyes and Mr. Cho as well. I also did a little addition as well of James Hong as Uncle Po as well. And in terms of the celebrity castings in this, you also get Emma Stone appearing in this game, Emma supporting role of Amanda, which is pretty awesome. Definitely love how she was in this. And we also got other great names in this too as well. One of the game's other main villains is also a character, Pendrew, who is voiced by Tom Wilkinson, may he rest in peace. Did a great job playing Pendrew in this game, he really did. It's a shame we lost Tom Wilkinson, rest in peace to him. But yeah, this game has a really great cast of actors in this, just to name a few really. They all really did great jobs in this. And another thing about this game which I think is also great is also the gameplay. The gameplay in this game is absolutely incredible. So, one thing I've got to give the developers of the game lots of praise for is probably the game's graphics. Because, in my opinion, the game, despite being 12 years old, holds up phenomenally. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to believe the game's that old, because in my opinion, it's aged beautifully. Especially on the remaster, where, of course, they made it much better graphics-wise. Like, I think it's one of the best remasters of all time, especially on the PlayStation version. Just incredible, in my opinion. And one highlight of the gameplay for me is definitely the martial arts, because the combat in this game, of course, is very similar to what I'd say is probably, the combat for Batman Arkham games, because it's square for, like, attacks and combos, and triangle for counters, of course, as well. And also circle for grabbing as well. And just like in the Arkham games, when you defeat the last enemy out of a group you're fighting, it goes into slow motion for a finishing move, which is pretty cool. But the martial arts in this game is absolutely phenomenal, and you learn lots of new skills in the game as you go by. And you can also get more of them by getting collectibles called the Jade statues, which is pretty awesome. And I was able to get all of them. It was definitely lots of fun to get them. But I definitely think this game was ahead of its time because of martial arts, absolutely. And there's also gun combat as well in the game as well. And personally, I found gun combat quite difficult when I first played the game. But as I played it on my playthroughs, I got more and more used to it. And I was able to do it just fine on the PS4 playthrough, thankfully. And also, as well, you can drive a variety of vehicles in the game as well, which is definitely really awesome. Loads of sports cars, motorbikes, even like trucks and all that, you name it. It's definitely really awesome. And it's definitely lots of fun to do. And there's plenty of side activities you can do aside from the great story. And it's definitely just really fun. And the story, in my opinion, is also phenomenal. Like, because I'd recommend this game to one of you guys who are fans of films like John Wick, for example, because this game, in my opinion, is quite similar to it. Thankfully, of course, it's not going to be rehashing John Wick, because this game came out 2 years before John Wick anyway, so yeah, exactly. But it's a game I'd recommend if you guys are John Wick fans, because it's quite similar, in my opinion, a little bit in terms of story, so I'd recommend it, absolutely, if you're a fan of that franchise. Because the story, in my opinion, is amazing. Definitely, in my opinion, full cinematic as well, because of great acting in it as well, I must say, too. Because it's just so good, in my opinion, with great acting, and just, in my opinion, a really intense story, which had me hooked to the game from start to finish, because when I first played the game, I was so addicted to the story, because it was just incredible, really, just wonderful. And if you guys were also going to ask me what my favourite mission is in the game, it's the mission called The Election, which would take place on the scaffolding skyscraper in the game, because in my opinion, it was really intense, and just, in my opinion, just so much fun. I think they knocked out a part of that level, absolutely. It was brilliant, in my opinion. And I also, as well, really love this game's soundtrack as well, because a lot of the music here in the game is from pre-recorded songs before the game came out. And they're definitely, in my opinion, really great to listen to. And they definitely did a really good job picking, like, songs of, like, Asian culture as well for the game, which are just, in my opinion, beautiful to listen to. My favourite radio station in the game was one called Softly FM. I love that radio station in the game. And my favourite song was a song called Lhasa Grove. Oh, I love that song. Amazing. Yeah, I definitely love that song. And there's lots of other great songs to listen to as well I listen to in the game, which are definitely really great. And the game has lots of side missions, which are also lots of fun. I've already mentioned one involving Amanda, Emma Stone's character. There's others too as well. And there's even missions involving, of course, doing police work, which is brilliant as well. So that's something for me to do as well, of course, aside from the game's amazing story. And there's lots of side activities you can do as well. My favourite is probably Martial Arts Club because it was really good, to test my skills in the game. It was lots of fun. And there's also lots of activities. For example, I also loved the tournament you can do as well in the game, which is also lots of fun on an island. That was definitely, in my opinion, lots of fun to do as well. And it definitely reminded me of like those old Bruce Lee films, because the visual quality of them just amazing. And there's also lots of fun DLC in the game as well. So for example, of course, there's like a zombie-inspired one called Nightmare on North Point, which was definitely pretty scary, I must say, but lots of fun, I must say. And also one as well called Year of a Snake, which was definitely brilliant as well. Yeah, the DLC for the game was amazing. And in as well the enhanced version, there's also missions as well which were included, which were previously DLC, in which you can unlock a starter car with an EMP on it. So, now when it comes to course to experience for Platinum, I will say that in my opinion, the game is easy to Platinum, but it takes time. So, if I was to break it down into simple steps for you, the first one that I'd suggest for you is just to simply enjoy the story. Play a story first and enjoy it because it's lots of fun, in my opinion. And you'll probably get lots of trophies without even trying to get them, because I got lots of them without even noticing I was trying to get a trophy, and yeah, I got them. And then when you've done the story, you can then do things like side missions and all that as well, and also get the collectibles. Because thankfully none of the collectibles are missable, which is a relief. So you'll definitely get them quite easily, thankfully. And there's also, of course, the tournament as well you got to do on the island as well. There's also that counts towards Platinum as well. But one part that I found hard to do was probably the races, because I usually tend to suck at races in video games. But thankfully though, when it comes to the car races, there is one thing I can do, of course, to make it easier for you. And that's to unlock the car with the EMP, the DLC car. So if you play this version of the game, you'll get that car if you do the DLC side missions. You've got to, of course, test out that car. When you unlock it, use it for a races and modern sports cars, and you can disable the other cars with EMP, and you don't even get disqualified, which is pretty cool. So I use that to my advantage. But unfortunately, you can't use it in motorbike races because it's not a motorbike, sadly. And when it comes to Platinum the game, I'd argue that it's easier on the PS3 version than the PS4 version, because unfortunately on the PS4 version, you've got to do DLC races for a Platinum, unfortunately. They have to count towards a Platinum on the PS4 version, which is a big shame. Especially because, in my opinion, the most hardest race in the game, when it comes to the PS4 Platinum experience for me, is probably the race where you got to drive the entire map of Hong Kong, across all 4 regions of it. The entire map's a big race, and in my opinion, it's really hard. It's only about 3 or 4 tries, and there's many times when I crashed. There was even one time when I crashed at the last minute. I was so frustrated, but thankfully, when I memorised the layout of the race, I was able to complete it, but it was not easy. But that's what I can say, really. So, for Platinum in the game, just simply enjoy the story, and after that, do the side missions and collectibles, and then just clean up, really. There's also one thing you got to do when it comes, of course, to stats, where you got to, do certain challenges in the game. There's about 32 of them, I think, but you can actually miss out 2 of them as well, and only get 30 of them for a trophy, which is a relief. And most of them are pretty easy, because you'll get them anyway in the game, anyway, naturally, without even trying, so that's a relief. So, all I can simply say is just enjoy the game when you try to Platinum it, because don't think it as like a chore or like homework. Just enjoy the game when you're Platinuming it, because in my opinion, it's really easy when you just have fun playing it. Because I had fun playing it, and I spent lots of hours playing the game, so many hours. It's actually one of those games on PlayStation which I play the most of out of the games I've played, because I put so much effort into a game. It was lots of fun. But nonetheless, for Sleeping Dogs, in my opinion, is an absolute masterpiece. In my opinion, one of the best games of all time. A game that, in my opinion, is also millions of times better than today's games, in my opinion, too. Because in my opinion, compared to games today, which in my opinion have awful graphics, this one's graphics, in my opinion, are much better than a lot of games we get today. And because it holds up phenomenally, especially on the remaster as well. It just really shocks me how well this game's aged. You wouldn't think it's from 2012 because how well it's aged. It's just phenomenal. So, that's, of course, my thoughts on Sleeping Dogs. In my opinion, one of the greatest games ever made. If you haven't played it yet, please play it. You will not regret it. It's a masterpiece. If I was to give a game a score out of 10, I'd most definitely give it, for me, a full-blown 10 out of 10. An absolute masterpiece. If you guys haven't played it, then I can't recommend it enough. It's awesome. So, This is me, Costum Review Sleeping Dogs. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to throw in the comments what you guys think of Sleeping Dogs, it's an edition or PSP version, whichever version that you've played. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. What you guys' thoughts are on it. Love to hear your thoughts on the game. Also, be sure to join Team Clan by pressing Instagram who's coming in the future. And I'll see you all later.